Right, so to start off, let's have a look at what does time value of money actually mean. Okay, so study unit 3 is focusing on exactly that. Okay, time value of money. Okay, so obviously money changes value over time, and we need to know what does that actually mean in terms of decision making. Okay, we also need to look at calculations. So how do we do certain workings? And we need to look at the influence of time value of money on personal finance. Okay, so that's the big focus in this particular chapter. Now, from a test or exam point of view, you can be asked to calculate time value of money in terms of present value, future value, and so on. Okay, they do test it. We've seen past papers in the past that have tested it. Some past papers don't test it. So it all depends on the year and the examiner setting the paper. All right, the next bit, definitions. Okay, so if I look at key concepts and definitions, present value. Present means now, right? So this would be at time 0. Present value is always at the current point in time. Right, not in the future, but today. Okay, what is the actual value in today's terms? Okay, today meaning now. Okay. Okay, future value. The word future refers to tomorrow, the next month, next year. Good. Okay, so future value is looking at any point in time after now. Okay, so two key, let's say, time frames, now and in the future. Okay, what is something worth today and what is something worth tomorrow, next year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? Okay, what is a lump sum? Single amount. What is an annuity?
Over time.
Yes, okay, it's a regular amount over time. Okay, so an annuity would be paying X over a period of time. Okay, there will be constant, maybe monthly, maybe yearly, maybe quarterly, depending on the situation. Okay, if we have a mixed stream of cash flow, well, cash flow could be like a budget, right? Inflows and outflows. Okay, we looked at that last week. This week we're looking at a mixed stream of cash flow, okay, in terms of time value of money. So if I look at a timeline, mixed would be 5 maybe there, 10 here, 7 there, 8 here. Right, those values are all different. Alright, so mixed stream of cash flow. You could have positive amounts here or you could have negatives. Right, it's not going to make a difference because it's a mixed stream of cash flow. Okay, so plus or minus doesn't make a difference. Right, what is compound interest? We'll discuss that in more detail. Okay, the simple definition will be interest on interest. Okay, so if I'm looking at compound interest, amounts get bigger and bigger quicker when I'm adding to those amounts. Okay, if I look at the word discounting, a discount means a reduction, right? Okay, so a discount in terms of discounting from a time value of money point in let's say perspective is looking at taking things back in time. Alright, so taking amounts back. Okay, so here I'm looking at the future and I'm saying if I take those amounts in the future back to today, what is it actually worth? Okay, that's discounting. Right, and then with interest calculations, you do get different types of compounding. Okay, you get yearly interest, semi-annual, quarterly, monthly, daily. There could be all sorts of different interest type of calculations in terms of compounding. Okay, and then we'll look at the difference between nominal and effective. Right, we use the one, not the other. Okay, the one is a quoted rate, the one is an effective rate, i.e. the rate that you actually get over the period that you're looking at. Okay, so if I'm investing for a year, what do I actually get over the year if I'm getting interest every month? Okay. Yeah, we'll differentiate between the two just now. Okay. Right, so nominal is quoted actually, okay, and effective is what we actually use. Yeah, but you'll see that later. Okay. So when doing calculations, what must we always do? Draw a timeline. Okay, you can't do a time value of money calculation if you don't have a timeline. Time value of money, right? T for time. You need to draw a timeline. Right, so what do I need to consider? Well, those are 5 variables that I'm going to have to plot on my timeline. Right, so I've put 4 of the 5 on the timeline. The one that I've left out is this one, the payment. Okay, PMT. PMT stands for payment. Right, a payment would be made over a period of time. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay, so those are payments that we would have over a period of time. Alright, you don't always have to have payments. It's only when I have an annuity will I have payments. Okay, so normally you'll just have present value, future value, interest, and N. Okay, so what is N? N is a measure of time. Okay, so normally Tn. Okay, so do I have 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? Okay, I is the interest. Alright, so what rate do I have? 10%, 5%, 20%? What rate do I have? Present value is what you start with. Future value is what you end with. Alright, so we know amounts of money can change over a period of time. Right, just remember when doing calculations, you need to keep all the variables the same. Right, so if you've got a monthly rate, let's say this is a monthly rate, so you're getting a certain amount of interest every month. How many years am I going to be given? Let's say I'm given 5 years. Can I use 5 years with 12% per month? Compounded monthly. No, I can't use years with months because I need to keep everything the same. So I need to have a monthly rate with number of months. So 5 years would be 60 months. Right, so you need to keep all the variables the same. Okay, years with years, months with months, quarters with quarters. Right, so here's your note about nominal and effective. What's the difference? Right, there's the note. Effective is the actual return. Nominal is the quoted return. Right, so do you agree if I'm going to be getting more interest on interest, does that change the value of the asset? Definitely. Okay, why? Why would it change the value? Correct. Exactly, good. So if I'm looking at nominal, nominal is what they quote. Right, so someone can quote you 8%. Okay, that 8% can be compounded monthly. That 8% can be compounded daily. That 8% can be compounded yearly. Okay, so it all depends on what type of compounding I have that will determine how much I actually get in terms of an actual return. Okay, so when looking at an effective rate takes compounding into account. Okay, so that's the main difference between effective and nominal. The one takes compounding into account, the one doesn't. Right, so which one do we use in the calculation? Effective, because it takes compounding into account. Nominal is just quoted. Right, it's quoted, it's like an absolute type of measure. Right, an absolute measure can obviously change the outcome of the question. Okay, so we don't use the absolute, we use the effective. Okay, in terms of what does the actual amount, or what does the rate amount to, okay, if I take compounding into effect. Okay. Alright, so let's have a look at some simple examples. I invest 1,000 at 6% compounded annually. What is the return after 1 year? Okay, so if I draw a little timeline, what am I going to do? Well, where am I starting? Here. T0. How much did I start with? 1,000. Okay. How am I investing? 6% compounded annually. So 6 percent compounded annually. Okay, if it's annual, how many years in a year? 1. So you'll have I, which is the rate, 1. I1 is representing the effective rate because you're compounding yearly. Okay, so if I'm compounding yearly, I only have 1 year in a year. So in a year, I'm going to get 6%. Okay. What is the return after 1 year? So what's the time? T1. Alright, so T0 is now, T1 would be 1 year. What am I looking for? This. How much am I going to end up with? Right, you're never ever going to have to use formulas to work out time value of money because the calculator can do it for you. Alright, so what are we going to have to do? We're going to have to type in that into the financial calculator. Okay, and then we're going to solve for the 1060. Right, so if I look at the manual way of doing this, okay, 1,000 times 6% is how much? 660, correct. Okay, so if that's the interest, right, how much did I start with? 1,000. How much did I earn? 60. So what would I land up with? Exactly. Okay, so there's the answer. 1,060. Okay, so how do we get that amount? We get that amount on the calculator by substituting in values. Okay, so you've got the HP. Alright, so step number 1 is always to do this. Clear your memory. So you need to press second function, which is the orange button. Okay, and then you press the CA all, C all, clear all. Alright, and then what do you see on your screen? A number pops up and disappears.
Yeah, it pops up like a Y and X.
So what was the number?
I can't remember.
So do it again.
12.
Okay, so on your calculator, 12 is what's sitting in your P over Y. Right, that's currently what's sitting in your memory. Right, the problem with the HP is even when you clear everything, it doesn't clear what's sitting here in the memory. Okay, so you can change this. Right, so we need to change it. Okay, so second function, and then you need to look at the top 4 buttons on your calculator. There'll be a button that has a subscript of P over Y on the top right somewhere. Do you see that?
Yeah, see that's under N at the top.
Okay, under N, there you go. But it mustn't have an X, it must just be P over Y.
But it's the times P over YR.
X P over YR?
Yeah.
No, there's another one. Further right.
Oh, it's P slash YR.
There we go. Okay, so it mustn't have an X anywhere. It must just be P over Y. Alright, so that's the right button. Okay, so now press 1 on the calculator.
Oh, so I'm confused with second function.
No, second function, clear all. Okay, now type in 1. Okay, then press second function P over Y. Because now you've set it as 1. Alright.
Now it's just equals 1.
Yeah, so now press second function clear all.
Yeah, now it's 1.
Okay, so now you're reading 1 in the calculator. Okay, so make sure your P over Y is 1. Alright. In this particular module, we're going to keep it as 1. We're not going to change it. Okay, in another module, the other module, there are scenarios where we will change it, okay, to work out an effective rate. But in most cases, it's going to be 1. Alright, so leave it as 1. P over Y stands for periods per year. Okay, so we're just going to keep it as 1 period per year, or 1 period per, let's say, time frame. Okay, so remember different time frames will have different periods. So for example, 5 years could be broken up into 60 months, yeah. Okay, so we're just keeping it as there's 1 period. Okay.
When I went to the book, they use a different, they get referred to a Casio and HP10, that's not this one.
That is the HP2. Yeah, that you've got the HP2B plus. 10B plus, yeah. So the textbook's talking to the 10, which is that model.
Yeah, so like on Casio, it's like Casio.
Casio is what I've got. Yeah, it doesn't matter which calculator you use, you're going to get the same answer. Alright, so that's the first step. Make sure the P over Y is 1. Okay, now it's 1. If you press second function clear all, it's going to keep it as 1. Alright, so now how do we do the calculation on the calculator? So, on your calculator, begin or end mode, it doesn't matter for a question like this. Right, but begin or end mode, you'll see on the top also as a second function, BEG/END. It's on the top, one of the 4 buttons, BEG/END. Yeah, okay, begin/end. Right, you don't need to use that for this particular question. Whether it's begin mode or end mode doesn't make a difference. Okay, now we need to put in these values. Right, remember the calculator can't think. Right, so the calculator uses pluses and minuses to represent inflows and outflows. That's what the calculator uses to work out an inflow and an outflow. Okay, it doesn't make a difference how you do it. If you put in a negative, your answer will come out as a positive. If you put in a positive, your answer will come out as a negative. But the answer is still going to be the same. Okay, alright, so let's put it in as a positive. Okay, then we'll do it as a negative. Right, so on your calculator, type in 1000. Okay, what was the 1000? It was the PV, so press the PV button. Okay. In how many years did we invest for? 1 year. So type in 1 and press N. What was the rate? The I was compounded annually. Have a look. 6% compounded annually. So what is the rate? 6%. Because how many years in a year? 1. So 6 divided by 1 is 6. Okay, so press 6 and then press the I over Y. Or I over YR. Okay. Alright, now what did you want? Correct. So just press future value. Yeah. Okay, why is it negative? Because we put in 1000 as positive. Okay, so your answer came out as minus 1060. It doesn't matter. Minus 1060 or plus 1060, it's still 1060. Right, so the future value is 1060. Okay, if you invest 1000 at 6% annually, you're going to get 1060. Okay, so there's the note. We just spoke about rates. Considering that the nominal rate was 6%, the effective rate is also 6%. Why is it also 6%? Because you're not going to be earning interest on interest. Right, you're earning interest every year. Okay, Y1 is 1 year. Right, there's no interest on interest. Okay. Right, so what happens if compounding is monthly? Yes, so now how many periods will I have in a year? How many periods will I have in a year? Correct. Right, so T0 and T1 year. 1 year is now 12 months. Right, so how much interest am I going to be earning? Well, do you agree I'll be earning interest for that period, then interest for that period, then interest for that period, until the end? How many periods of interest do I earn? 12 periods of interest. Right, so if I'm earning 12 periods of interest, do you think the future value is going to get bigger or smaller? Exactly, good. Okay, so I just want to ask you, did you do maths, pure maths at school? Okay, so you probably did do some of this, time value of money. Alright, okay, so you don't have to worry too much about the algebra and that, it's just the time value of money that can help. Okay. Alright, so let's look at the same example.
I think I just asked for the previous one, do it monthly, we just maybe do it on the calculator.
There's it.
Sorry,
okay.
I didn't realize or something.
Yeah. Alright, so 1000 invested at 6% monthly. There's the key, NB. Right, so what am I doing? I'm increasing the amount of interest that I'm going to be earning, right? How long am I investing for?
1 year.
1 year. Can I use a year with months?
No, you can't.
No, I can't. Good. Okay, so I can't use 6% compounded monthly with 1 year. 1 year is how many months? 12 months. Good. Okay, so in terms of substituting that into the calculator, how many periods did I say we had? 12. Right, what is the rate? We said that's important because this is a quoted rate. Someone's quoting 6% compounded monthly. Can I use 6%? No, because that's not the monthly rate. Right, so if it's monthly, how many months in a year? 12. So what is 6 divided by 12? It's 0.5%, and now this is per month. Okay, so do I have 12 months with months? Yes. Okay, 12 months with 0.5% per month. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay, 6 divided by 12 is 0.5% per month. Okay, so are those two variables the same? Are they both in months?
It's not in months, you have to divide it by 12.
Yes, okay, they're both in months. You've times the 1 by 12 and you've divided by the 1 by 12. Okay, so now both units of measurement are in months. Okay, so now what do? Type it into the calculator. Okay, so on your calculator, you always second function clear everything. Okay, so second function clear all. Alright, then what do? You type in 1000 and you press PV. Then you type in 12 and you press N. Right, then, okay, let me show you something on the calculator. What you could do on the calculator is you can work this out first and then press the I. So on your calculator, type in 6. No, don't clear anything. Just press 6 divide by 12 equals. And then on your screen, you should see 0.5. Okay, now you press the I. Okay, now it's in there. All right. What did you want? I wanted the future value. So how do I get it? Just press FE. And what does your calculator say? Okay. Oh. Okay. Alright, so that's how we do it. Future value, 1061. So what does that mean? Here's the interpretation. Okay. Was the nominal rate any different to the one we saw previously? Was 6% still 6%? 6% compounded annually? 6% compounded monthly. Is the 6% any different? Okay, but is the 6% any different? No. 6% is 6%. Okay. The one I'm compounding yearly, the one I'm compounding monthly. Right, so if I look at this, considering the nominal rate of 6% compounded yearly versus 6% compounded monthly, what do I actually get? Well, I actually get an extra R1.67, which amounts to 6.17%. Okay, that's what you actually get. Right, so the effective rate for the period, i.e., from the start to the end. Okay, T0 to T1 year. How much did you start with? 1,000. How much did you end with? 1061.67. Right, so if I look at that, what did I actually get in terms of a return? That's what I'm looking at. Right, so what did you actually get in terms of a return? What is this I? This I is, yes, because you actually got a bit more than 6%. And the reason for that is you compounded more frequently. Okay, there are some good examples that you can have a look at in your study, not study guide, in your textbook. Yeah, so I've tried to reference 1 or 2 pages. Right, if you can have a look at those. Right, we will be looking at examples in terms of the assignment. There should be workings in there, and also in some of the past papers, not all. All right, so here's a few to practice. Let's see how we do. Right, I've given you an example here. I want you to tell me what variables do I have. Just give me the variables. So as you read the question, what variables can you identify? Good. So I've got n. I can circle that. What else? No, I'm deciding to save a lump sum amount of 25 into a savings account. Okay, so here they said determine how much you would have after 10 years. So how much would you have after 10 years? After 10 years is in the future or now?
Future.
Yes. So this is present value. What else?
Your I, which is 5% under 12.
Yes, it's compounded monthly. So this is your I-12. Alright, so now you've got everything. There's the PV, there's the N, there's the I. Right, on your calculator, see if you can get that figure.
Yes, I got it.
Great.
I think I got this calculator on Tuesday. Sorry, I said yesterday, but that's on Tuesday.
Okay. Right. As long as you've got it, that's perfect. Okay. Alright, so now let's have a look at annuities. Alright, what did we say an annuity was earlier?
What monthly or yearly? I don't know so much yearly. Actually, yearly and annuity as well.
Yes, you can get different annuities. Okay, but what is an annuity? It's just an amount of payments or deposits. Okay, so if it's an annuity, it's what? It's regular, it's constant, and it occurs over a set period. Okay, so those are all payments. Is that an annuity? Yes. Why is it an annuity? Because all those amounts are the same. They could be 10, 20, 30, it doesn't matter what the amounts are, but all of those amounts have to be 10, 20, or 30. Okay, they have to all be the same. Alright, so what am I doing with an annuity? Same thing applies. I'm taking those future amounts. Okay, so I'm taking each and every one of these. And what am I doing? I'm taking them back. Okay, and when I take them back, I'm going to add them all up, and that's going to give me the future value. Okay, I could take them all, and I could move them all forward, and then I would get a future value. It doesn't matter. Okay, but if I just focus on what I've got here, I'm taking it backwards or forwards? Backwards. So if I take things backwards, what is that called? It's called discounting. Okay, discounting means taking things back. Okay, always. Right, so if I discount, amounts get smaller. Alright, what is a perpetuity? It's identical to an annuity, it just doesn't end. Okay, so perpetuity means, think about the word perpetual. Okay, perpetual means never ending, right? Okay, so perpetual means payments, or perpetuity rather, means payments that are made indefinitely. Okay, payments that are made perpetually. Okay, payments that never ever end. Right, so how do I work out a perpetuity? There's the formula. Present value equals the payment over the rate. Okay, that's a perpetuity. Alright, so let's have a look at this. If you read the question, does any word stand out to you? Does the word stand out? Okay, so you look at the compounding. This should actually stand out. Okay, so if it's an annuity, what is it? It's a regular payment. If it's a regular payment, what do I use? I use the PMT button. Okay, so now you know which button to use on the calculator, using payments. Okay, so you would like to know what you should pay for an annuity that pays a yearly amount of 1,000 at the beginning of each year. Right, so what would this look like? what would the annuity look like? T0 is now how many years?
5 years.
5 years.
That's 7%. That's in.
Okay. I will be 7%. Okay. 7% compounded yearly. Right. What else do I have in the question? I have this. What is that amount? The payment. Okay, so where would that be? It would be over time. Right, so you'll have 100,000 there. You'll have 100,000 here. Okay, you'll have 100,000 all the way right up until the end. Okay, how many payments do I have? 5. Right, something else that should stand out is this. Beginning of each year. Okay, if it's the beginning of each year, remember earlier I said it doesn't matter if you've got beginning or end mode. It doesn't change the question. Here, you were given this, beginning of each year. So what mode must I use on the calculator? I need to use the begin mode. Okay, so that's also something to highlight. So there's a few things here. I.e., draw a timeline. Okay? Second point, make sure you check for beginning or end. Right, so now I can type all of that into my calculator. Alright, so on your calculator, you'd be typing this in. Okay, let's practice changing the mode. Right, so on your calculator, go second function. Oh, okay, yeah. Don't worry. Okay. Second function, then the BEG/END button, begin end. Okay, so now on your screen you should see, yes, you should see BEG. Right, if you press second function clear all, does that go away?
No.
No, so you need to be careful. Right, every time you change it back. End is the default setting. Right, it's the default setting that you should have. The HP doesn't clear it, so you've got to clear it. Okay, you've got to make it end mode. It's always end unless you've been told this, beginning of each year. Okay, so you never ever change it. You only change it if you see that. Right, so do I need to change it? Yes. Have we changed it? Yes. Right, what did the 100,000 represent? The payment. So you type in 100,000 and you press the PMT button. Okay, how many years?
5.
So type in 5, press in. What is the rate?
7%. 7 will be high.
Yeah,
Minus present value.
yeah,
4,872,1,3.
yes. Okay, so what is that representing?
That's your what's currently.
What the annuity is worth today. Right, so if I had to buy this annuity, I would spend 438,721, and that amount of capital is going to provide for 100,000 for the next 5 years. Okay, does that make sense?
Not very. Is that less than what you put in? Over the 5 years.
It would have to be less than, because time value of money. If I go back in time, amounts get smaller.
It's smaller, yeah.
If I go forward in time, amounts get bigger. Okay, is that alright?
Yeah, so it's kind of what it's today.
Yes.
I
Okay.
understand, sorry, man.
Alright. This one, I want you to draw a diagram.
So I used to do BSc. I did it 3 times and I didn't finish it when I changed degrees, so that much fell away.
Oh, which one? 1630?
Yeah, I used to do that for 3 years.
That's a very good module. Yeah.
I got the same mark 3 years in a row. I failed each time.
Wow,
I
okay.
got 33 times in a row. I must have been technical. I don't know.
Possibly, yeah. That sounds very strange, yeah.
23 times in a row.
So you don't have to do that module.
Not in this degree. But
Oh, alright, okay. Right, so your diagram?
That's so let's still drawing that side. 10 years, what do you think? I enjoyed the FIN2602, I don't know why.
Really? Okay, I like that module because it's calculation focused in terms of workings. It's just that calculator, and that's it really. Basically, yeah. You just need to know how to use it.
That's why I didn't know how to use it at the time.
Maybe, yeah. Okay.
That's what's also not really like it. No, not Tuesday, that's what it says on the card. No, this one.
Okay, yeah. Alright, but yeah, time value of money comes up quite often in different modules, so it's a universal skill or concept that's often tested in other modules as well. Okay. Alright, so do you have a diagram?
Yes, I got a
Alright.
diagram with 500 every month, 10 years.
Okay, yes, so your diagram should have looked like this. Okay. How much would you have after 10 years? So am I looking at present value or future value?
Future value.
Correct. This is the question mark. Okay. How many years do I have?
10 years.
10 years.
120 months.
T10. Good. Times 12 equals 120 months. Right, and then you'll have lots of these lines. You'll have how many of them? 120, exactly. Okay, and each of those will amount to 500. Okay, so there's your payment. What else were you given in the question? A rate. What is the rate?
It's 6%. So
No.
12.
Yes. Okay, I is 6 over 12. Okay, so those are all your variables. Okay, you've drawn a diagram. Was this beginning or end?
Oh, that's beginning.
Why? What stands out?
The start of each month. Yeah.
Yes, start of each month. So if I start each month with an investment of 500 Rand, okay, a month, how much would I have after 10 years? 82,349. Yeah, you need to work it out on the calculator. So make sure you're getting the same figures. Second function, clear all.
Yeah, 453,000.
Ooh, second function, clear all. You probably didn't clear the memory, so you've got stuff sitting in the memory, yeah.
Yeah, it's up there. 500.
Always clear the memory first before every question. Every question, just start off by clearing the memory, because you never know what's sitting in the calculator. That can be problematic. What do you get?
I'm almost there. Let's do it. 82,349.
There you go. Nice. Alright, perfect. Okay, so the next bit here is a note about equivalent rates. Okay, luckily this doesn't come up too much, okay, in terms of this particular course. Okay, they tend to keep it quite simple. Alright, but I've given it to you just in case. Alright, so it could come up, but it doesn't often. Okay, it will come up in your FIN2601. Alright, so you'll see we'll use this more there. Okay. Alright, so what is an equivalent rate? If something is equivalent, what does that mean?
It's the same.
Correct. Alright, so what must I always do? I need to check variables. I need to check that all the variables are the same. Which variables do I check? Do I check the N, the I, the payment, the future value, or the present value? Which variables do I check? Yes, I would have to check the payment. What else would I check? What else would I check?
What with the years you do it?
Yes, you do. You check the years. No, not all of it. And the I. Okay, so remember, the N could be in months, okay, but given in years. Alright. The I could be a daily rate, but you're requiring a monthly one. Okay? The payments could be daily, but you're needing monthly payments. Right, so which three variables do we check? It's the N, the I, and the payment. Right, do you need to check the present value and future value? No, because there's no element for time for those two. Right? Present value is an amount. Future value is an amount. Okay, you don't get any other consideration for rands. Rands and cents are rands and cents. Okay, so present value is present value, future value is future value. Right, we don't need to check it. Okay, we only need to check those three. Okay, so make sure that those three relate. Right, so there's two examples. Months with months with months. Or quarters with quarters with quarters. Okay, you need to keep all of it the same. Right, so what do we do if the effective rate does not correspond with the payments? We need to do a conversion. Right, and here's the conversion. Okay, so how do we convert from one rate to another? This is how we do it. Okay. Right, so if this is given in the question, what type of rate is this? Nominal or effective? It's nominal. Why is it nominal? It's quoted. 8% compounded quarterly. How do I change that into effective? I divide it by the number of quarters. Okay, so how many quarters in a year? 4. Alright, so if I've got 4 quarters in a year, I get 2%. This is the quarterly rate. Okay, 2% per quarter. Right, what did the question want? The question wanted the equivalent annual rate, which is I1. This was I4. Okay, why is this I4? Because that's the rate for each quarter. Why is this I1? Because that's the rate for 1 year. Okay, it's the number of periods in the year. That's what you're looking at. Does that make sense? Okay, so how do I do the calculation? Well, there's it. I've given you a worked example. Okay? Okay, equivalent annual rate. What is the equivalent annual rate referring to? I1. Because how many years in a year?
1.
Okay, this is the effective quarterly rate. What does that mean? How many quarters in a year? 4. So it's 2% per quarter. Right. So do I have the correct rate for a year? No. What rate do I have? I4. Okay. I don't have I1. Right. So how would I work it out? I would substitute to the equation. Okay. And then I would do a little bit of arithmetic to get to the correct answer. Okay, so this formula here, okay, that equation there works out any equivalent rate. Okay, you just put what you want on the left and you put what you have on the right. Okay, so what I want goes here. What I have is there. Right, so what did I want in this question? I1. What did I have in this question? I4. What is I4? Correct. Okay, so if I substitute 2% in to the power of 4 minus 1, then if I just plug that into the calculator, I get 8,24%. Right, does that make sense theoretically? Yes. Why does it make sense theoretically? You're compounding it how many times a year? 4 times a year. So are you getting more than 8% a year?
Yes.
Correct. A little bit more. Why? Because you've got interest on interest. Okay.
Can I just ask,
How do we put that into the calculator?
How to do it on the other one?
Yeah, you wouldn't. Okay, okay. Let me show you how to do it. Okay, so you're asking a question. That's fine. That's good. Okay, but we don't really need it for this module. But I'm going to give it to you. Okay, so what am I going to do? I'm going to change my P over Y. Remember I said don't ever change the P over Y. Okay, because you're not going to need it. Okay, you're not going to need to change it. Okay, but now if you're asking the question, how do I do this on that? Okay, then you do need to change it. Okay, so now make it 4. Alright, so press 4, second function, P over Y. Okay, so now when you go clear all, do you see 4? Okay, so now type in 8%, type in 8, and then press I over Y. Did you do that? Okay, then just press second function and look for this button, EFF. Okay, EFF. Not the political party, but the effective rate. Press it, and you see 8.24. Yeah, that's how you would do it on the calculator. Yeah. Alright, that's the only time we change the payments per year. Okay. Yes, okay, because the calculator will never ever change it, even if you clear all. Only for the HP though. That's the disadvantage with the HP. It saves settings. Okay, it doesn't have a default setting, unfortunately. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't. The Sharp does, the Casio does. It's just that calculator that does it. Yeah.
So most people use these ones.
Yeah, most people do use that one because that's what's recommended. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Right, then I've given you a note here. Application is key. Okay, we'll apply it to different applications as we go. Okay, you'll see you can have 1,000 different applications for this. Right, from a test or an assignment point of view, right, the application is quite specific. They normally talk about the first 2, loans and savings, and that's it. Right, you do get annuities, right? It is a consideration, but not as much as the loans and the savings. Okay, what must we do? We need to interpret this. Right, so don't ever worry about trying to remember formulas. You don't need formulas. All you need to do is, can you identify the variables? Right, in the given question, can you pull out the information to substitute into the calculator? That's all you're going to have to do. Right, and that ends this particular module. Short and sweet.
In the textbook, I noticed a lot of formulas.
Yes, don't worry about equations. You're never ever going to need them. Okay, you can do everything on the calculator.
So we didn't use like what we did 9 exam, not all these other ones.
The exam is multiple choice. Yeah, the textbook and your study guide will refer to a table. Alright, a table of values, present value, annuities, and so on. Yes, you don't need to use those because the calculator does all of that for you. Okay, that's how they used to do it old school. Okay, so before financial calculators were around.
That's horrible.
Yeah, but that's the way it worked, okay, because it was, they didn't have technology. Okay, now we have technology. So if you look at past papers, sometimes they don't even test time value of money. Was it the last semester we didn't have a course for this? The semester before we did. Okay, so end of last year, we hosted classes for this module. And the exam they wrote didn't have any time value of money. They actually told them don't cover it. You don't need to know it. Right, so we just need to check this semester. What information do they give you? Right, we've covered it. If I was you, I would be hoping for it because it's easy marks.